Qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details.
Granted, I'm so confused.
Okay, I can hear you, and you are
Free,
moving.
no obligation information. Handle all the insurance paperwork. And make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply.
Oh, I am? Okay, I just can't see.
800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Nowhere but Texas. That's where I'll be. Get home the answers to all my dreams. I know one thing. God calls me. Nowhere but Texas is where I'll be.
Hello. Tonight's episode is not an easy one. And I'm sorry. It's not an easy one, but it's one that needs to be had. Tonight I'm joined with survivors of human trafficking. And human trafficking is something that happens everywhere. It happens in our communities. It happens in plain sight. And with it being Human Trafficking Awareness Month, we want to bring awareness, not just to the issue of, like we did last week, of the prosecution and what it is. We want to bring awareness from a survivor's point of view. We're having a little bit of difficulty with Verizon being out, but we do have Miss Bridgette here, and we call her B, and we are waiting for Courtney to come on. And Miss Jacqueline, who is a advocate, cannot join us tonight because she has no way of getting on because of the Verizon outage. But we are here with Miss Bridgette tonight. And Bridgette's going to start by telling us a little bit about herself, and then we will get into the depths of what you have gone through and, if you don't want to tell us something, you say, Mary, that's a little bit too much, and we're not going to go there. And then as soon as Courtney gets on, I will introduce y'all. Courtney is the young lady we had talked about last week that was trafficked from her high school in Katy, Texas. And I'm going to let Miss Bridgette tell you more about herself and where she's from.
Hi, I'm from here in Burleson. I live here with my husband and right now my 2 kids because one went off to college. So
Right. You just came back from Phoenix. She drove in and she got here 30 minutes ago and from Phoenix because Arizona, where she took her son. And she has been an amazing, amazing woman through all of this. I met her 4 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 or
It's
5 years
four.
ago. And we were actually down in Austin at the Capitol. We were going to testify on some bills and she came out of the sky really like a little angel floating down to us, and she was there to testify against the bills, and it was amazing that we had her there, and we just really got to be good friends since then, and she's right here in our own community, so I love having her. So let's dig in and while we wait for Courtney, and if you would start, just tell us a little bit about your story and tell us what it looked like when you started being trafficked.
Okay. So I was trafficked when I was a minor from the ages of 15 to 17. And I was trafficked through multiple states off the interstate, I-10, I-20, I-30, at truck stops. And my trafficker is my father. And so it's a little bit different.
Right. A lot of people don't understand that. They think, we had this conversation the other day about people think it's a little white van pulling up and taking your kids. What a lot of people don't understand, it is people that you do know. And we are now got Courtney on the phone, on the line. Can you hear us, Courtney?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay, Mary?
Hang on, Courtney. We can't hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, it says that I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
No, we can't hear you yet.
So sorry.
What is
This
she saying?
iPhone microphone. This is I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to continue with B. So a lot of people don't understand that it is familial trafficking is widespread just as well. So there's different types of trafficking that happens, as we all know. But a very common one is familial trafficking, family trafficking. So continue. Sorry.
It's okay. So yeah, my father did, and he trafficked me, and I guess I'll give you a rundown of pretty much what that would look like. Well, first off, my dad was a drug addict. He is, and I think a lot of times drugs or something. A lot of times, I think poverty might go hand in
Yes,
hand
ma'am.
with
Definitely.
familial trafficking, and so he would just load me and my brother up in the vehicle and he'd take these crazy drives. I don't know if it was when he needed money or what, but he would have me dressed in overalls and a pink tank top and put my hair in pigtails, and then he would pull up to a truck stop and tell me to just get out and not to come back until I made a quota, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and usually his control and coercion, it was mostly centered around my siblings. He would say things like, "If you don't do this, I'm gonna make your brother and sister do this." So it was like a
Oh,
choice, that I had to make, and for a long time, honestly, I didn't know what trafficking was,
oh, exactly.
but then even when I did know what it was, I guess I had a lot of shame and I was quiet for a long time
Right.
just because I thought simply I chose because he had used those tactics, coercion and manipulation by using my brother and sister.
Right. Exactly. Courtney, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I believe I was unmuted. Can you guys hear me okay?
You.
You can? You can hear me?
Okay. So when it came to your And we had talked about that too last week. We wanted everybody to know that they would use things, traffickers use things against them. So like, I'm going to hurt your family. And so you were trying to protect your younger siblings.
Yes. So it was that. And then there was also, because the situation, I didn't grow up knowing my dad. I didn't meet him until I was 15. My mom and him divorced when I was like 2, maybe. And when I was 15, I wanted to know him, and it was kind of against the rules. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I got in contact with him, and then my mom said, well, if you want to know him, you can go live with him. And that's how I came to be in his house. So once I was there and he was, controlling me and stuff, another thing he would use is, your family doesn't love you. Your mom doesn't love you, your grandparents doesn't. So I'm all you have, which is another thing
Oh,
that is used.
okay. Hang on for 1 second.
It's okay.
Okay. I was trying to get it. The on air must be on mute, and I'm trying to figure out how to get it off there. Anyway, so while being did you ever call your mom? I mean, I'm
No, it's okay. You can ask. Yeah. So I guess I should start by saying, because this was across multiple states. So
right,
I grew up in Arizona,
right.
Southeast Arizona.
And you told me today you just come back from Arizona
Mhm.
where you actually did a interview there about the trafficking because it's very bad there as well.
It is really bad. So the county I grew up on borders Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's Cochise County, and that's where a lot of the trafficking. It's pretty bad down there, and it has been for years, but it's gotten worse. But I-10, connects right through there, and it goes straight up to Tucson and Phoenix, which is a major route, and then it goes to LA. And so it is pretty bad. We did an interview, and it was at a truck stop I was trafficked at. And
Go ahead.
the goal is to bring more awareness, and I guess kind of hit home with this happened to somebody that grew up here. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
I mean, whenever you talk about, I mean, we talk about it a lot. Listen, I mean, it happens and it needs to be out there. So did you ever get pushback from whenever you did tell? That's my
So yeah. So I did tell my mother, and
that's
and it was kind of an understood thing that I wasn't allowed to go back home, where I grew up, what I considered home. And so and then of course, my paternal grandparents, they knew what was going on, and they blamed me. So
really.
yeah.
And that was his parents.
Yeah.
Mm.
And of course it was like it was like a bunch of stuff bundled into one. It was the trafficking, and then of course he was raping me as well. And so it was, the responsibility was on me. Even his addiction was on me.
Mm,
Oh no. I'm sorry, I'm texting trying to
It's
figure this
okay.
out. But whenever you were able to, you were an adult by the time you told. I mean, you were,
Before, when I like filed charges.
yes.
Yeah, I filed charges. It's so hard to imagine that it's 2026. 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I had to think back on what year we're in. But yeah, it was 6 years later, and that I actually went and filed charges and all of that. And it was really rough for me, because well, how I left his house is he ended up impregnating me. So I became pregnant, and then things were so bad at the house, I had to find somewhere else to live. So I went to a maternity home, and that's how I got out of.
Yeah, we had talked about that
Mhm.
once before as well.
Yeah, yeah, and so that was how I got out, but it was really hard, it's really hard for all survivors, but when you're a survivor of familial trafficking, you don't have a family to go back to.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of support, and it's just confusing when, your father does this to you. And so, you're not when you haven't had therapy, you
Right.
know,
Oh,
healing, you think, well, maybe it was me. And
I don't think it was ever. I
I
know
know,
it wasn't ever
yeah,
you.
yeah, it was never me. I know that now, but that was my thoughts.
Exactly.
And so he was even, I mean, he would be in and out of my life. I would be doing good, and then he'd pop back in, and then my life would be chaos. And so we went through that about 3 times, the longest break being because he went to prison for attempted murder of my brother and sister and his then wife. And after he got out of prison, he came back into my life, and then he was trying to I felt like he was grooming my son.
Mm.
So I cut him out completely.
Good.
And then I got in touch with an organization, and I started volunteering here. They're called Valiant Hearts.
I have heard such great things of
They're
them,
really great.
and so that's a good thing.
Yeah, they're really, really great. They're the ones that got me into like really, really intense therapy that
Right.
was
That's
very
helping
needed.
you and take care of different things for you. Yes.
Yeah, but it wasn't until, I was volunteering that I was listening to survivor stories. I was just, we would feed the girls,
Right.
a meal at support group, and I did the dishes, and then I would hear their stories, and I thought, my goodness, I think I was trafficked.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I thought, because I've been to seminary school,
Yes.
and I want to help people,
Right.
but I got to this point where I realized, I really don't have any business. I mean, I could. It was my choice to file charges, but I felt like a hypocrite.
Yes. I know. I understand. So I don't know why my light's not working, but it's not. The one thing I want you, if I could take you back without upsetting you.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, you just tell me when you were in it. I want to help our audience understand the we know the stronghold that he had and what he was using against you. But I want the audience to understand that you truly felt like you had no choice.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
That's real.
so when you're, and this is the part that I think people get twisted is teenagers are children. They're
Well,
not
very
many,
much
they're
so.
not many adults, they're children. And children are very easy to coerce and scare and threaten. And so I was constantly in fear all the time.
Right.
I mean, if I didn't do something that he wanted, I knew that I would get beat, starved. In Arizona, he had a handler for me. And so when I got out of line, he would send me to his handler, and it was basically torture until I begged, for them to send me back to my dad. And so that was a big part of it. The fear.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's really hard to comprehend how truly terrifying it
Yeah.
is when, you know, your trafficker, and this isn't just for familial, traffickers control every aspect of your life. What you wear, when you eat, when you sleep, what you do. They isolate you pretty bad too. And so when you're not around people that genuinely care about you as a human being,
Right.
then you think the whole world's like that, and you
Yes.
want to obey. That's the only way that you know how to survive. It really truly is. You really don't have a choice.
Mm. I can't imagine. You know Julia's story. You know that she was killed. Um, so she's not able to tell her story. We have to tell her story from what we know. And I thank God that that did not happen to you.
I thank God for that too. There were pretty close times. And it when you're in it, you don't realize how close to death you are until later. And you're like,
Right.
wow, I almost died. But yeah, the fear is terrifying. And I just thought of something actually, because I was explaining this to my children because they wanted to know what the anxiety was like. Because I used to really struggle with going on road trips.
Oh,
And then anytime my gas tank would get below half a tank, because, when I was with him and I saw the gas tank almost to E,
you
then
knew.
I knew that I was going to have to work. And, I just remember like when I would step out of his car and just be walking and, towards the line of trucks in the back of a truck lot, and just hearing the rumble, and just my heart would beat so fast. And
Yeah. And I've seen a movie to where a young lady had gotten out of her trafficker's car and walked the line that you're talking about,
Mhm.
going to the truck stop. And there was a actual trucker that she got into the cab, and he asked her, "Do you want help?" And it was a Truckers Against Trafficking
I've heard of them.
Yes, they're wonderful.
um thing that I was watching, and she was so terrified. And I thought to myself, my God, I mean, we know that it was like a commercial thing, but how those girls must feel when that is actually happening. Did you ever have anybody reach and ask you if you needed help or?
Not like a trucker. I kind of wish that would have been nice.
Yeah.
But I had people at the actual truck stops, because after I would make a certain amount of money, he would make me and my brother and sister beg for food if we wanted to eat. And so there were a lot of people that would ask, which is so important. Like when you see kids or a woman or I think it's so important before you give them money to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've learned that when we were down in Houston area
Yeah.
ourselves. So, and we're not saying that every kid or every
Right.
person is trafficked,
But I
just
feel like it's awareness, like
to be asked. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. So I wish Courtney, can you hear us? I know you can hear us, can't you? We can't hear you,
oh.
It's
but we
okay.
love you. But
We love
stay
you.
on, because we're going to get it fixed. Okay.
Okay.
So, anyway, we, getting back to watching that, and I saw them giving her help, and he even almost was hurt himself trying to do that,
Wow.
because he went at it the wrong way, and they were trying to demonstrate how to do it and how not to do it and different things. And that's where I always tell everybody, you see something, say something.
Yes.
But I have a question, and you don't have to,
Okay.
you don't have to. You had said something about your son
Mhm.
being his.
Mhm.
And I happen to know, because I've been with you. We've been to Austin, we visit, we have lunch. That's how you were able to get your conviction, correct?
That was, in fact, as of right now, the only conviction that he has is rape of a minor with the familial,
Yeah.
relationship. And he did get life in
That is
prison.
amazing. Yes.
He can parole after 30 years,
Right.
but he's 66.
Exactly.
So
okay. And just so everyone knows, her son is amazing. Just let
thank you. He
everybody
is
out there.
amazing. He is. He really is.
Amazing.
And he is very happy and healthy. So, because I knew that was going to pop up, so I just wanted to get that
Yeah.
out there.
Thank you.
And now that and I know the things that you've done since all of this has taken place, but I want you to let everybody know what you've done that helps survivors, that help things, because you're not just a survivor, you are a thriver. You have come so far after your journey that has helped so many other survivors.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. I'm very proud.
Thank you.
I'm not be biased, but I'm proud.
Well, like you said, we met in Austin. So I've been would you call it advocating?
Yes,
Okay.
advocating legislation.
I've been
yes.
doing a lot of speaking. I've done the legislation twice. I
Yes,
think.
we did it in 21 together, and
So both times.
oh
we
my
were.
Lord, we've known each other for over 5
I
years.
know, that's
For
crazy.
21
That's
and
right.
23 together. And we did it this year.
Yes.
So yes.
So I've been doing that, and then there was a conference that No Trafficking Zone held that I
Yes.
spoke at. I think that was in 2022.
Yes.
And
NTC Impact Week.
like, for example, I just did an interview where I grew up, Cochise County.
Exactly.
That was one of the places I was trafficked. And so I really, where my heart has been is just, I really think everybody needs to know, because a big stigma that, I've encountered from, family members, stuff like that, is that, oh, you wanted to do that. And people really need to be educated what it's like. And I mean, really just ask themselves, what would they do?
Exactly.
This is how it is. And this is, and it is emotional warfare, really.
right.
And so really, I just want to shine a light on what it really is, get rid of this taboo stuff,
Y-
and just use my voice for people that need it.
Right,
And
exactly.
I never will stop.
Exactly. So, I was trying to explain it to somebody. Who said, not you, that they didn't say that about you. They said, well, I think that, that lady probably just, or that girl probably just sold her body for money. That's what she wanted to do. And it was about something else. And I said, can you stop and think? I've never in my whole entire life, I've never met anybody that grew up saying, oh, I
Yes,
think I want to be a prostitute.
exactly.
Oh, I think I want to sell my body.
Yep.
Oh, no one has ever
Exactly.
grown up with that kind of mentality.
There's never been a little girl that was playing Barbies and was like, this is what I'm gonna be,
Yeah, exactly.
play pretend.
Exactly.
That's not the situation.
No.
And kids are not bad. People are not bad.
Yeah.
These are things
exactly.
that happen to them.
Right.
Yep.
And so we do need to take the stigma that prostitution is a choice, because I've never known it to be a choice with the survivors we've come across with, or the ladies that we've come across. And so with that being said, you talking about stigmas, you're talking about what people think. And that is one thing that people need to get away from thinking, is that, oh, they're doing that because they want the money.
Yeah, exactly. Because and I mean, I think it's like society's perverted view on, and I think porn has done this. It's desensitized and just completely twisted, but
Oh, I agree.
people already have their mind twisted on, they already,
Right.
and really, I think awareness, like, people need to realize that, the culture's been desensitized.
Yes.
Nobody wants to do that. And what these women go through, like, they're not having fun, having sex with multiple dudes in a day.
Right.
And a lot of it is violent. No woman wants that. No child wants that.
Nobody wants that.
No, not
No
at all.
man wants
No.
that.
Not at all.
So well said.
Oh, I've got you.
Oh,
We can hear you.
Wonderful.
And
Thank you,
yes.
Jesus. I knew it was going to happen, but I've just been so grateful to listen to both of you, articulate, beautiful, inside and out ladies. Mary, thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. It is always my pleasure, I know B as well, to come out and support you. Thank you for creating a trauma-informed space for survivors such as myself and B. And for everyone listening, my name is Courtney, and I also work alongside Mary Wells and with B and other survivors and the No Trafficking Zone. And I'm so grateful to join you guys for this really powerful conversation tonight. You've done a phenomenal job describing the survivor and victim's experience.
Well, thank you, Courtney. Can you lift up your camera just a little bit? There you go. And then thank you. And Courtney, we got 25 seconds before we go for halftime. But when we come
Wonderful.
back, I want you to tell our story, because I did tell
Yes.
a little bit of your story last week.
Oh,
So I
thank
want
you. Okay,
Yes, so I want the audience to hear your story.
let's do it. Thank
Okay. Thank you. We'll be right back.
nowhere but Texas.
Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team of skilled designers, we can engrave intricate designs on virtually any material. Whether it's a special message, a company logo, or a custom design, Romika Laser Engraving will help you make your mark. And the best part, our prices are affordable and our turnaround time is quick.
I couldn't be happier with the work Romika Laser Engraving did for me. The engraving on my product was precise and exactly what I wanted.
So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Nowhere but Texas. That's where I'll be. It holds the answer to all my dreams. I know one thing. God calls me. Nowhere but Texas is where I'll be.
Hi, and we are back. Courtney, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yay, us, and we can hear you now.
Yes.
So that is amazing. Okay, everyone, this is Courtney. She is a survivor. We have, I've known Courtney for 6 years now, and we have gone back and forth to Austin to fight for safety for our children. And Courtney has a story. I had told y'all a little bit about her being trafficked right out of her high school at Katy, Texas. And I'm going to let Courtney tell you her story.
Thank you so much, Mary. And again, I just want to say, B, you did such a beautiful job as always articulating your lived experience. And you and I, as we spoke earlier, and as we've discussed with Mary before, there's so many similarities and there's recognizable patterns and commonalities among survivors, but there's also every survivor has their own unique experience. But I see myself so much in B and also in your daughter's story too, Mary, Julia. And just to be able to sit here and have this conversation with you guys, it's so important to talk about people and all the ways human trafficking takes place, such as labor trafficking, familial trafficking. My lived experience primarily was taking place as sex trafficking that began, as you shared, Mary, at my very own high school. How does this happen in one of the top school districts in America? Because we all know, whether we're all fighting together on Capitol Hill, we're all out for lunch, we're meeting with other families and victims, this crime takes place in every single city across America. Therefore, every single school district is not immune to this crime taking place, including where it happened to me, Katy ISD. When I was a junior in high school, I barely had even heard the term pimp or other intersecting issues that are connected and correlate with human trafficking, but I had absolutely never heard the word, as many of us at that age and even adults during this time. And this was around 2015, 2016 time as well. So this was, a little less than 10 years ago. I also can't believe we're in 2026. There's a lot more awareness now, but at the time, I never even heard the term human trafficking or could begin to understand what that meant. there was a tiny bit of sex education or, talk about abuse in school for possibly one small section in a chapter in health ed class in high school, which I took as a freshman in high school. And that's all I can recall. And I was so fortunate to have a support network around me where my family was very far from perfect. And especially in a city like Katy, Texas, I think there's such pressure already on youth. And now social media has only exacerbated that, to put your best foot forward and fake it till you make it, or put on a strong exterior and not open up or outcry to people when you are suffering or struggling with something. And that is something we all face during one of the most pivotal ages and time periods in our lives, which is high school. And so I was a part of extracurricular activities. I was actually a varsity swimmer as well. I was very involved in not only community activities. My first job that people knew me for was working at the local Chick-fil-A, Mary and B. I was quite, I know. Well, I was quite literally one of the last people thought this could happen to, but that I think opens up the greater conversation you all have touched on, is that we need to dispel stigmas and stereotypes where people believe this only happens to one group of people. This crime does not discriminate against socioeconomic background, race, sex, culture, upbringing. This can happen to anybody, and anybody can be a trafficker, a spotter and a groomer, and a buyer. And those people infiltrated my own high school. And I came to find out very soon, the hard way, once it became so personal and happened to me and my family, that peer-on-peer exploitation was running rampant, not just at my high school, at many high schools, but that it could take on something so sinister as some of my former classmates and peers introducing me, Mary, to the life of sex trafficking as an 11th grader in high school.
Well, Julia, when she left and she texted that she was going to go with her friend, she truly thought that this was her friend,
Right.
and her friend sold her. So yes, it happens by more than just family. It happens from more than just strangers. Julia trusted this person, and she sold her.
And typically, as you're sharing, Mary, with Julia's story and B with yours, trafficking takes place by somebody you know, or somebody in your life, your circle, your family, your friend group. And that took place at my high school with girls and boys. Like you said, Mary, that was a female friend who poses as a friend, because what is the very first step of the grooming process? It is to befriend.
Yes.
And somebody who will seemingly present themselves as having something in common with you, a familiar face, maybe even a familiar name. And that's how my groomers first began to establish false trust. It was an illusion of trust because they weren't forthcoming that they had an agenda of how they sought to profit off of my trauma, especially after I experienced a horrific assault my homecoming night. And this was a school sanctioned event. And yes, the assault didn't take place on school property, but it took place during a school event. And I was forced to return to school the next day. And because of a code of silence that sadly is so common, not just in street culture, but with youth, especially in our schools, you're under so much pressure to not be a snitch. And especially if somebody has committed a crime against you, such as when I was raped and assaulted and drugged homecoming night by an older man who I was dating at the time, who asked my homecoming date, who was a fellow swimmer, to drop me off to him after the dance, because since he was in his 20s and I was still 17 and a junior in high school, he did not want to be a part. He called it too young, but I wasn't too young for him to date. And he saw me as a challenge because I'd grown up with a purity ring on my finger. And not to be in some kind of cliche, but I was raised in the church. Even at the time, I didn't understand relationship with God and Jesus. I was fearful of God, and not in a healthy way of fearing God. I feared condemnation. And I think a lot of times, and I think you guys could agree with this as well, sometimes purity culture can be harmful, right? Like, it's very good principles and well-intended, what that's founded on, but a lot of kids and young girls, including myself, I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob growing up because it said stupid, dumb, and butt. And I know that itself sounds silly, but that's how it could be perceived as controlling at that age. That's how we feel our parents are trying to control us and other adults or authority figures. But really, they're wanting to protect you you want to protect your kids, but the world is ready to expose your children, whether it's through pornography, social media, to all of these things, because this over sexualization of youth has been a problem since you guys were growing up, since I was growing up, and the creation of private messaging and direct messaging came out when I was in high school, right before I was introduced to my first trafficker at my high school. So there was a lot of different ways to avoid detection and to fly under the radar and have disappearing messages taking place, where I started, to be grounded all the time once my parents saw me distributing behavior that wasn't like the daughter they knew, but had they understood the traumatic event that had taken place, and that I was sworn to secrecy by not only my abuser and my abusive ex, who, by the way, was serving in the military at the time, shook my parents' hand because my parents, they wanted to meet him. My parents tried as best as they could, and I think a lot of parents do, to be as involved in their kids' life as possible. But it's impossible, especially at school. That's what I really want to talk about, to have eyes on your children at all times, especially when social media and the internet are at play. But my parents believed for the 8 hours a day that all kids are supposed to be at school, including myself and my younger sibling, that we would be safe, at least from something as heinous as sex trafficking and traffickers, at least at my high school, when in fact, that was the breeding ground for the beginning of my years-long exploitation and downfall into the life of sex trafficking as a minor.
You would go to school. Am I correct? You would go to school in the mornings, you would go home in the afternoons, and the trafficking happened within school hours. Am I correct?
Yes, so at first, initially, because my traffickers, they know the laws. And this is another reason I love that. Look at how God has purposed all of our pain and all of our lived experience to help enact laws. But these laws were not in place when B and I were being trafficked, when Julia was being trafficked at her school. And so we did not have any resources. But during school hours, my traffickers were more in fear, guys, of picking me up from my parents' home, because my parents were helicopter parents and were overly involved in my life and cared too much. Those are all compliments that I think all parents would, want to hear. But the trafficker said, you know what? We can get her while she's at school. And they taught me how to sneak out from class and even being marked present in classes that I was not attending because I was being picked up by my pimp at 17 years old as an 11th grader, being taken to lead a double life, trafficked, having to have sexual relationships with adults, and then being brought back during school hours and marked present in these classes. Or it would also be during a lunch period, so that I could miss the lunch period and have a time of the class period that took place right after lunch, so my pimp could have as much time with me as possible before he had to bring me back to school.
Wow.
It's crazy. But
And no one, and the teachers, if they didn't notice, or if they did, they
Right. Well, that's the thing, and I've been so intentional about this, because it would have been different. My teachers were not maliciously, knowingly working with these traffickers to traffic me, but they were negligent. And there was a lot of gaps in the system, and a lot of kids, especially kids that didn't have nearly the support network I had, and mine was very imperfect. My family was very imperfect, but in so many ways, I had amazing parents. I overall had a very blessed upbringing and childhood, and a lot of community support and friend groups and a support network. But this still was able to happen to me, and there was gaps that I fell through that other male students, other female students had fallen through long before this happened to me. This was taking place with other crimes, other organized crime at my high school, such as illegal arms trafficking and drug trafficking, before I ever realized that there was sex trafficking going on at my high school, but also just across my school district. And now we're still working cases from my ex-school district because they care more about liability than accountability. And those gaps continue to have kids and victims falling through them, sadly.
Do you think that there's anything that, I've got a lot of school teachers that watch this, I have a lot of school teachers that are friends.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would like to have teachers just kind of look for that's more, because we are getting them training now. They are having trainings for traffic to look out for trafficking. Is there anything that you would want to get out to the teachers, to the principals, to the families, to what to look for?
Absolutely. And like you said, thank God now there's trainings being done, and you guys and B and our networks and NTZ and like survivors like myself, we're able to be a part of these conversations now to help inform these trainings to make them victim centered, but also more accurate, make terminology more relatable and resonate with victims and not sensationalize this issue. So a lot of the bills that we have all worked together to help pass, such as SB 1831 and the extensions of the no trafficking zones in school laws that we all worked and testified on Capitol Hill for in the Texas legislature. One of the biggest things I want teachers to know, so one, it's amazing that we're able to get these bills passed, right? And we all know the spiritual warfare that you come up against and what you face over and over. You would think everybody could agree on an issue such as protecting children and families and advocating for, our kids and our students not to be trafficked and sold for profit. But with that opposition, not only do we need these bills passed, we need them enforced, right? But then not only do we need them enforced, we need teachers and school administrators, school resource officers, all these people who were hands and boots on the ground during my exploitation that could have made a difference, who could have helped report signs they were seeing and indicators of trafficking had they had the proper training, had this been mandated by the school, so we could be about prevention before we had to wait till it got so out of control that parents, as we all know, and Mary, as you know, as a parent, are crying out, and teachers want tools so that they can do something and be able to be a deterrent and be a trusted source for victims to outcry to and students. So one of the greatest blessings in my testimony, as much as I hated that it would not be until years later that I would quite literally have to self-extract myself, is the terminology, and run for my life to get away from my final traffickers, because I was sold into multiple trafficking networks after originally being first trafficked at my high school. But when I was still allowed to attend school, because eventually one of my madams, I was trafficked by both women and men. As we say, anybody can be a victim, but anybody can be a trafficker and predator as well. I was, what signs? What did this present as that I would want teachers and school admin and people who are with these students every single day, what could have made a difference for me? And moving forward, signs and indicators that they could keep in mind so that if you spot something, you can say something. I would say one of the biggest signs is withdrawn and being tired during class, where you see maybe a student who doesn't have to be a perfect student prior to maybe experiencing something that now they are involved in the grooming process, whether they know it or not, or they're already being sexually abused, sexually exploited, or sold, or have a pimp. One of the things that I would say is, really noticing a change in their grades and their attention during class. And are they now, had they never slept in class before, maybe like once in a blue moon, if they had a long homework assignment the night before, but something that shows a consistent disruption of normal behavior and patterns that you normally would know a student to present, whether that is them falling asleep during class, whether you see them secretly talking on devices, because that's one of the biggest things that happen in school. My parents were so strict and in fact so suspicious of people who were, befriending me, and they wanted to keep me grounded when I was at the home. But when I was at school, my pimps who were already graduated from my high school. So this trafficking ring included current students who were varsity athletes, who were, somewhat good students, straight-laced students themselves, but a lot of them also were graduated students who were the wholesale drug suppliers to these students. So what traffickers and pimps want to do, and groomers, is keep a constant line of communication open. These older pimps would give the current students who were helping groom me and were spotters at the school to turn over victims such as myself to these older pimps and get paid a finder's fee for that. They would actually give them new devices, sometimes every other week, because that's how many devices my parents would find and confiscate. If you see a student showing up with multiple phones, or what we know as burner phones, or, one of the biggest issues at school is that, like, there's a lot of ways to bypass Wi-Fi restrictions. And so all you need to communicate now secretly on, whether it's Snapchat, even Facebook or Instagram or iMessage, you cannot do this with Android message, is all you need to be is connected to Wi-Fi, a Wi-Fi source. You don't even need to have a SIM card in these phones. And my traffickers learned that. So not only did that help them keep constant communication with me as long as I could connect to the school Wi-Fi during school hours, my parents would find these phones and actually turn them over to law enforcement. They were so concerned about their daughter's safety, about my well-being, and they couldn't find anything because I could delete it all remotely, or the pimps could delete it all remotely just by logging in. If you're familiar with this, I think you're familiar with this. If you log into, say, Snapchat on one device, but then you log in on another, it automatically logs you out of a current device. So it's sad, but like, teens and kids, especially now in modern age, are so well versed in they're more worried about getting in trouble and punished for the things they're going through versus asking for help. And I think that's one of the biggest deterrents kids face. So that's another thing that for parents and for teachers to work better at, is having anonymous reporting systems and outcrying systems, because teachers are mandated reporters. So if you do disclose something to a teacher about abuse, or especially a huge word, red flag, like pimp or trafficker, they are supposed to turn that over to the school. And I think kids know that all too well, and they're more scared about getting in trouble and grounded and punished. And I know that was the case for me, and I just wish so badly I could go back to my younger self and say, don't worry about that, your life is in danger. You are also disassociating, and when you're in survival mode, that's another thing teachers need to pay attention to. Are these children and students like showing signs of being in survival mode, where they don't care about their grades anymore? They don't care about their normal friend groups. They don't care about their sports teams. They're checking out, and you see them just trying to get by and go through the motions. And that was very apparent, even for people who didn't know me that well. And also signs of self-harming, which sadly I was also engaging in. I was on the swim team. It's very hard to hide those scars when you're in a swimsuit and swimming with a bunch of people and other kids. And I think even teachers could have seen these signs. And because of that lack of training and awareness, one, they may have not known who to report to, or people are too often worried about staying, minding their own business. Well, sometimes especially when you're dealing with minors and students, we have to be more concerned about having each other's backs and maybe going a little bit against that grain, and challenging ourselves to say, this might be awkward or uncomfortable, but I need to go up to this person and just ask them if they're okay, even if they're not ready to disclose to you, which most victims are not, just based off their reaction or response or lack of their response. It's in their eyes. And I look at pictures of myself back during this time, and you can hold up a picture of my first day of junior year versus months later after the assault and the drugging had happened, and you can just see the difference in my face. You can just tell I'm going through the motions, and I was so severely depressed. And not only were the pimps and the groomers bringing me phones, burner phones during school, they were bringing me drugs and alcohol during school, and they would actually threaten me and blackmail me and sextort me to go out in the parking lot with them and use drugs. And they wanted to do horrible things to me, under the guise of saying that they would offer and make a deal with me to protect me if I did this for them, X, Y, and Z, which is extremely illegal, and also another form of, honestly, sex trafficking, because you do not have to prove force, fraud, or coercion, as we all know, if you are under the age of 18. So that's just such a pivotal time when you are still a minor. There's so much more teachers in the school can do if they have that proper training and awareness and are not afraid to see something, say something, which doesn't always mean direct intervention, but about at least alerting the proper authorities or even the child's parents, because the parents can't have eyes on them 24/7.
Exactly. And we can't. I mean, I know you're not a parent yet, Courtney, but
Yeah,
we can tell you
it's
we cannot. My after Julia was killed, with my youngest daughter, I actually become a smother. Instead of a mother, I was like, I followed her to work. She didn't know that I was doing that, and I'd sit there and watch her walk in, and then before she'd get off, I'd drive down there to watch her walk to her car, and it got bad. And so we can't always keep an eye on our kids. So we do depend on teachers. And of course, Julia had just graduated. So she didn't have that. We didn't have that luxury, but we had no clue what was going on. But Courtney, before we leave, because we only have 3 minutes left, I want you to tell everyone, since the day that you were rescued, I don't want to even say the word rescue. It was, what did we say?
Recovery.
Recovery. Thank you. Because I know that a lot of people don't like that word. So from the day that you went into recovery until now, I want everyone to know your accomplishments, what you have been, because I'm going to tell you, you and B are my heroes. Because y'all have accomplished so much and y'all have done so much. So I would like for our audience to be able to know what you've done.
Oh, thank you so much, Marion. I mean, it's so mutual. You guys are my heroes as well. And we the team in an army, and like the fact that B and I, along a really, really hard, horrible lived experience as survivors and victims ourselves, we're now turning over a new leaf where we don't just want to be even surviving anymore, but we want to get to the place where we truly can sustain thriving. And we've gotten to come alongside amazing leaders such as yourself, Mary, and the work that your organization does, and organizations like No Trafficking Zone. So it took, after almost 3 years of being trafficked in the life, beginning at 17 years old, freshly 17 years old, to almost 21 years old. It took that many years for me to finally get out of the life. But we know a lot of victims will recidivize. So it's not a linear experience the same way we know healing isn't linear.
Exactly.
So and that's something I think that is so great, that we're like breaking those stigmas and we're challenging, some of the stereotypes that people have been taught by movies such as Taken, where yes, you can be physically taken in the life of trafficking, but it's normally a lot more methodical than that. And it's a process. It's a building trust. It's a breaking down of a person's soul and who they are so that you reflect the image of your trafficker. So by the time I'd been trafficked across the country, I was being trafficked in a whole nother state by the time I should have been at my senior prom. It was horrible. And that's also a part of Julia's story as well. It's like, you go from being a kid, we go from being to like an unrecognizable person in these horrific adult situations. Even as we're talking now, I have a main service dog. I have a beagle, and he's giving me all these kisses right now. And that's one of the things too, is like, now this being on the side of recovery and taking he's so cute. He's like literally smothering me and kissing. He's a smother, like you were saying.
Yes. We have
so
less than a minute left.
I would not
Tell me
here. I realized I was not, but that there's so much more. Oh, I'll wrap up with what we've done, with some of the accomplishments we've done. So I went from being trafficked. I went from the traps to the White House. I was appointed by President Donald Trump. I served on his U.S. Advisory Council. I served under the Biden administration as well. We all, including myself, prioritize working with bipartisan leaders. We know this issue is nonpartisan, but I get to help inform federal policy, working with the Department of State, and now I also serve on the Consultant Network for Blue campaign. I am the Director of Survivor Initiatives with the No Trafficking Zone, where B also serves on our Survivor Committee, and we get to help create signage across
and we are off, guys. I wish we had more time.
Texas.
So, thank y'all for joining us today. We appreciate it.
County, Joco Community Radio.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No.